How do you identify risks on a site? And I'm guessing that we're talking about a building site here. And yet, what I want you to think about is the fact that what I'm going to talk to you about relates to risks in general. So it won't matter whether we're talking construction site project or business project, IT project. What I want to do first is, I guess, explain that a risk is it's something that we think might happen that's going to disrupt our project. That's the best way to think about a risk. What is it that might happen? And notice I said might, because when we talk about risk, we talk about probability or the likelihood of it happening. So, what might happen that will disrupt our project? That is a risk. So, if you're on your construction site, what you want to do is take a bird's eye view of the site and then start to notice in each of the areas, what if? What if a contractor delivered material late? That's a risk. The risk is it might happen, and then what's the flow-on effect of that? What if the safety structures in place, the scaffolding, is not safe? What's going to happen? What's the likelihood of that happening? What is the impact of that happening? There is the identification of a risk. So the best thing to do is to sit down, and I'd like to do a brainstorm session basically, and just oftentimes I will do it with post-it notes, but piece of paper works just the same. Sit down and or stand where you are on your construction site and just look at all of the possible things that might go wrong. Now, you're probably going to go, oh my God, there's too many. Great. The more risks you have, the more prepared you are for if they happen. And this is what good risk management is all about. It's about being prepared for one of those what ifs, or when one of those what ifs actually happens. So the best thing you can do is have a large risk register, and then gradually as your project goes on and on and on, what you'll notice is that you can close a lot of those risks off, because it might be in relation to a certain contractor that you're working with. Well, if they deliver the product on time, guess what? That risk is, there's no longer a risk there. So you can close down the items on your risk register and find that you might only have one or two risks that you're then managing for the project. So it's about looking at the what ifs. What if this didn't work? What if these people didn't show up? What if there was an issue with the way that something occurred? What if there was a huge concrete spill at the site? How are you going to manage it? That's what risk mitigation is about. How would you manage if there was a large concrete spill on a construction site? Things like that. Are you prepared? What do you need in place in order to make that not be a huge issue and create a lot of problem for your project? Hopefully this has helped you understand what a risk is and how to look at what could be the potential risks on your project or construction site. It's a project. And then how might you prepare for if that would happen? Like a worst case scenario. How would you prepare if the worst case scenario happened? Are you prepared? What would you do? What plan have you got in place? What action would you take? That's risk mitigation, and that's the best way to set it up and manage it so that there are no huge problems on your project that mean that it gets stalled, stopped, shut down, or in a worst case scenario, you have legal repercussions, because that's the last thing you want on your project. All right, hopefully this has helped you understand risks and how to mitigate them. I'll talk to you again soon.